Hi, my name is Adrienne Groff, and this is my Module 3 presentation. So for my presentation, I focus in on the Science and Learning Gardens, which is called, or short for SciLG. One of the interesting quotes that I found within their little article they had attached to their website was this one. Engagement with academic work is constructive, enthusiastic, willing, emotionally positive, and cognitively focused participation in learning activities. And I feel like this really just sums up the whole concept of what they're trying to do by incorporating pretty much outdoor classroom gardens within the science curriculum. A summary of this project. So the overall goal is to really identify how gardens can help specifically racial and ethnic students to succeed in science. So it has three main components. One is just the overall assumption that they're going to work on not just creating and aligning a garden-based curriculum, but also assessing how effective that curriculum is. And obviously they're aligning it with the NGSS standards. And they've specifically targeted the middle school grades, 6th through 8th. So another component that they are looking at in this project is how to use the gardens for teaching and learning. Obviously gardens are great and you can kind of get an overall idea of how to use a garden, but there's more underlining topics that you can discuss when you're working with a garden. And finally, the third was just to collect data to see specifically how racial and ethnic students, low-income students, how they are motivated by these projects, their learning identity, and what their grades are in science after going through this project. And ideally, their overall goal is to just increase the number of minority students that are in working science fields. So why I chose this project, I kind of want to start off with just that. The main reason is because our school recently, within the past 3 years, has been working towards creating an outdoor classroom area. And part of that outdoor classroom area, we have incorporated a whole teaching garden. So we've gone through the process of getting a local grant through the American Heart Association that they help provide us with garden boxes, seeds, seedlings, basically everything we needed to just overall get the whole project started. They came out and provided us with, obviously we had to put it all together. But it's kind of, this whole project was kind of interesting to me because it does work well with our school specifically and what we're trying to do with our outdoor classroom area. So I just showed a few pictures. This was just a picture of the actual teaching gardens right after we had worked on them. Got them all completed and did our whole kickoff finale thing. Here's just, we have an outdoor blackboard that is in the outdoor classroom area. So it's just the teacher and a student coming up with ideas of things that they would want to plant and see out there. This was also part of our kickoff where we had our local county park naturalist there. And she worked with the students on planting ideas and worked with them, showing them different types of plants that we could be planting within our garden. And then down here on the bottom are just pictures I've taken through our extended day program as well as our summer program that we run. And it's just, we incorporate a lot of science with it, and we get our Lancaster County Park naturalists out to us as well as we go visit them and really give our kids hands-on learning, which I think really incorporates the whole concept for the science learning gardens. So this is a picture of the students where they're actually dissecting a cattail plant. Surprisingly, most kids thought they were going to actually dissect a real cat's tail. Then in the middle here is just, we did a creek study where the kids went out and based on the types of animals that they were able to find and catch, we decided how healthy our water is that they were using. So alignment to STEM practices. So overall, one of the key things is that they're really targeting that minority group and that low income group, which is such a huge target with getting those kids interested in a science field and into technology and everything. So the use of garden links with all the STEM practices as well, asking questions, developing models, especially because a lot of our students that live, within city lines, they don't know much about gardening. They don't have the space to actually have their own garden in some places. So for them, they're asking a lot of questions from day one. And some of those questions are simple questions that you're like, wow, you would think they should know this by now. But because they don't have that experience of living in an area where they are immersed in gardening or farmland that they just don't understand. So they're automatically asking questions, wanting to analyze and everything. The researchers also assess that curriculum, and they want to make sure that it's completely aligned to standards, which works well since the STEM practices are already within our science standards that are coming out, specifically for grades 6 and 8. Another way that it aligns is just that real life application. Overall, the whole garden concept is a real life application. How do I plant these? Where should I plant these? When should I plant these? What's the best time of year for these vegetables or fruits? What do I do if it doesn't come out right? Or how do I get rid of the pests that all of a sudden came about because they like what I'm growing? All of that really applies to that real life application. And then as far as STEM inquiry, it's open to the teacher. As we've learned, STEM inquiry can go from a level 1 to a level 3. Ideally, you're looking to get students from a level 1 at the beginning to that level 3 where they're completely student driven. But obviously it all can be scaffolded, and it's really to teacher preference and the way their classroom is working with it. Problems easily determined in regards to the best method of planting, location of plants, how to handle the crowding, dealing with pests without incorporating chemicals into it. Those are all problems that can be brought into the Science Learning Gardens project. So it's good that there's a lot of problems that teachers can select from, and then allow students to ask questions and then to dive deeper into actually investigating and learning more about that question that they've asked themselves. It allows for various groups to be working on different questions revolved around school gardens. So you don't just have one problem, there's many problems, and the kids can be working on separate types of questions based on how to grow the best garden, and they can all be working together and almost in a sense lend itself to talking with other groups and getting ideas from them based on what they're researching as well. And it also extends itself, obviously, to cross-curricular projects where math and technology can really be integrated, from deciding on what soil is the best based on how quickly the plants grew, how tall they grew, all of those things. And then this is just some contact information. This was the website that you can go to learn more, and they have resources as far as that article that I mentioned in the beginning, as well as an overall poster that kind of maps out everything that they have going for them in the project. And then these are just the presenters. The main presenter right here, this is the email address for contacting them. And thank you for listening, and I hope to hear back from you about all the feedback.